The Nikita, shut up. Stop it. Nikita. This just doesn't work for me, does it? I can't do anything from home.
What's this regarding?
Roland, you might want to
I
mute.
can't believe you found this. Please, come in.
Owl. We have a meeting.
I was in Tokyo on one night layover back from Vietnam. My father was in Vietnam at my regiment. That was 3rd Battalion. I was in the 1st. I remember that I didn't have money for a ring, but I had this. I proposed right then and there.
Maybe she was the one who I met.
So if the Anna's on, so
Swanky face.
you can push it. And then you hear the truck. If you could hit that, your mic for a second. Olivia.
Now, for people first, they just. But what? Okay.
Or the whole thing. You know, to be honest, I don't. On or off.
And online. Shop smarter at Canadian Tire. Find great deals on products you need and activate offers on the Canadian Tire app. It's shopping made easy for you or your neighbor. Shop smarter at Canadian Tire. In store and online.
Hey, look, how's it going? Hi. We have a surprise for you. You helped me.
For fuck's sakes, will you stop doing that?
It's just really awesome that you're doing it here.
No way.
This is so much trust.
$3 million to small businesses this year. We've got big love for small biz.
Once upon a time, there was a place called the wilderness.
We did things out there that were ashamed of.
Friendships are a little more complicated than most.
That contains violence and mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's a reliability form. Says you're entitled to a reward for the street value of the drugs we seized. That's $25,000 on top of the 10%. Yeah. With what we got so far, plus that, you're looking at 40K and maybe 75. I'm doing everything I'm authorized to do. You tell people I did for you inside. Where's you lay your cards on the table right now? Face them.
All right. Call to order this regular meeting of the Thompson-Nicola Regional District for Thursday, May the 4th, 2023. The TNRD acknowledges that we connect with many First Nations communities across our vast regional district. And today we are located on the Tecumloops to Secwepemc territory, situated within the unceded ancestral lands of the Secwepemc Nation. The TNRD appreciates the partnership we have with Tecumloops to Secwepemc and respects the territory and land on which we gather today. I've been asked for a tutorial on the brand spanking new exciting microphones here. Hit the right-hand button to talk and hit it again to mute yourself or to turn it off at your desk. We would ask too that you do turn it off when you're not actually speaking, although it's not going to be as big an issue as the old system was. So chair's announcements. I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I'm not a Star Wars fan either. So this is from the Thompson-Nicola Regional Library. May the 4th be with you, Star Wars fans. Okay, there we've gone there. We've got it out of the way. To share some wisdom from the last Grand Master of the Jedi Order, Yoda, do or do not, there is no try. I don't write this material, by the way. We invite you to celebrate popular culture by checking out a spin-off book, watching a George Lucas film from any of the Thompson-Nicola Regional Library locations, or picking up a Star Wars themed take and make craft from the Clearwater Library or in a galaxy far, far away. Did I mention that I don't write this material? Although the taking out, celebrate popular culture, absolutely do that. Jamie Lee Curtis, when she won Best Actress, thanked all the fans who supported her through her horror movie years on her way to becoming an Academy Award winning actress. So popular culture is nothing to be sneered at. Planning update. The TNRD has organized an expression of interest for members to join the Advisory Planning Commission. The purpose of the APC is to provide input on matters related to planning, land use management, and proposed zoning bylaw processes. Information from the APC is provided as advice or recommendations to the TNRD as part of the application review process. The APC will require 12 members, and each TNRD electoral area will need to have one appointee, except for the two most populated EAs, electoral areas P and L, which will need 2 appointees each. The deadline to apply for the APC is June 2nd, 2023. Residents are asked to contact planning@tnrd.ca if they are interested in joining this commission. You can also find more information about this expression of interest on tnrd.ca. Accessibility Committee. The TNRD is seeking community volunteers to join the Accessibility Advisory Committee. The deadline to apply has been extended to May 11th. Staff are asking directors to consider getting the word out in their communities or speaking directly with community members you know of who may be interested. So far, the TNRD has received several applications, but it is hoping to receive more. Under new provincial legislation called the Accessible BC Act, local governments must have an accessibility plan by September 1st of this year. The TNRD's Accessibility Advisory Committee can have up to 10 members. At least half of the committee members should be people who have a disability or represent an organization for people with disabilities. The committee should also have at least one Indigenous representative. Committee members will serve a 1-year term and meet once every 3 months. A reminder about the committee's purpose: it will help guide the creation of the TNRD's accessibility plan. Applicants can call the TNRD or go online to access the application form, tnrd.ca/accessibility. It is with heavy hearts that we inform you of the passing of Lytton's former mayor and TNRD former director, Chris O'Connor. Chris served the village of Lytton from 1992 to 2008 as mayor and was a director of the TNRD for 3 terms, from December 1999 to November 2008. Chris's passion and his dedication to his community were admirable. The Thompson-Nicola Regional District sends our condolences to the village of Lytton and our deepest sympathies to Denise and their family. We wish you all strength in this difficult time. We have Director Blackwell and Director Hall attending via Zoom today. Hello. Yes, hello, gentlemen.
Director Stanky as well.
Director Stanky as well. Hello, Director Stanky.
Hello.
Okay, you can hear us. We can hear you. Awesome. Absent from today's meeting is Director O'Connor. Unfortunately, there were no members of Lytton Council who were able to attend today in her stead. Upcoming meetings and events. Saturday, May 6th at noon, we have the Green Lake and Area Public Community Meeting at the Green Lake Snowmobile Club. Wednesday, May 17th, 1:30 p.m. Invasive Plant Management Committee meeting. Thursday, May 18th at 9 a.m. Electoral Area Directors Committee meeting. And Thursday, May 18th at 1:30 regular board meeting. And today in your blue folders, you will have anything that is addressed to you personally and any regular mail. Great. I need a Halls now. No, I don't. We have no additions to or deletions from the agenda. So we move on to the minutes of the regular board meeting of Monday or Thursday, April the 20th, 2023. We do have a recommendation.
So moved.
Director Stamer, thank you. Vice Chair Smith, are there any errors or omissions? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, opposed, if any, that is carried. We have one delegation today. We have the BC Rural Health Network. There was some confusion about their appearance at the last meeting, but we're very pleased to have them here today. So we have, according to my notes, Executive Director Paul Adams, Vice President Colin Moss. Gentlemen, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, board members, for having us today. Sorry about the confusion from the last meeting. I'm going to share my screen, and we have a 5-minute presentation, and then open up to any questions you may have. And if everything is working as planned, you should see my granddaughters on the screen. And from the smile, I can say that they are there. Okay, just one second. Here we go.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Directors, for the opportunity to meet with you today. I'm presenting today from the Upper Similkameen and the traditional territory of the Silks First Nation, which is home to the Upper Similkameen Indian Band. And
Oops, could I just ask you to hold on for a moment, please? We're just having a few audio issues here in the room.
We are a collective of
Just let me know when to start.
Okay, go ahead. We just, if you could maybe get closer to the microphone, we were just having a lot of trouble hearing you here.
Can you hear me now?
So go ahead. If we could just ask you to speak up.
Yeah, just trying to change the mic volume. Can you hear me any better?
A little bit, yes. Don't move too far from the microphone.
Okay, sorry, we'll try again.
individuals, rural health advocacy groups, rural volunteers, rural healthcare providers, rural research. Thank you, Madam Chair and Directors, for the opportunity to meet with you today. I'm presenting today from the Upper Similkameen and the traditional territory of the Silks First Nation, which is home to the Upper Similkameen Indian Band and just outside the community of Princeton.
Are we supposed to be seeing a presentation here? Because we're not seeing any presentation.
You are, I'm sorry. Let me try again here.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Directors, for the opportunity to meet with you today. I'm presenting today from the Upper Similkameen and the traditional territory of the Silks First Nation, which is home to the Upper Similkameen Indian Band and just outside the community of Princeton. We have come today to request your membership in our network to help increase the voice of rural residents on their health and well-being. We are in a healthcare crisis, and increasing our voice is critical to ensure rural health equity is realized and stabilized throughout our province. The impacts of not addressing rural health affects everyone. It is time to address the unique nature of rural challenges which require rural-specific solutions. We are a collective of individuals, rural health advocacy groups, rural volunteers, rural healthcare providers, rural research groups, and nonprofits who provide rural programming and support. The group originally formed as a collective of local advocacy groups who championed rural health during the centralization of services. We have grown, and we are growing rapidly. Our purpose is to share successful strategies in an effort to address rural healthcare concerns. We advocate for policy changes that provide all rural residents with attachment to a healthcare practitioner. We identify areas of research aimed at improving access to healthcare in rural communities and provide fertile ground for research to take place. We inform the Ministry of Health in regards to rural healthcare concerns and recommend solutions to the improvement of services to rural BC residents. We work in partnership with other provincial organizations to influence policy change that improve access to healthcare services. We recognize the healthcare concerns of Indigenous communities and include their issues and concerns as part of our work. And we improve access to mental health services and addiction support services. We promote patient-centered community-based primary healthcare reform. We are a conduit of communication. We listen to our membership and the general public and hear about community-level challenges. We transfer knowledge to our membership and the general public from trusted sources. We also transfer knowledge from the membership and the general public to governments. And we provide local and regional solutions to authorities through high-level interaction with policymakers. We inform the grassroots of our communities, our volunteers, our hospice workers, our community services, and generally work to improve the recognition of rural healthcare providers. Community volunteers are the backbone of the BC Rural Health Network. We advocate for equity in health outcomes for all British Columbians, for the ability to live in place in rural BC, for a robust public healthcare system, for science-based management and solutions, and for community-centric care and community-based health management teams. We are apolitical, we are solutions-based, and we are a registered charity. We are here today to ask for you to join us. Your community voice is needed and wanted by our network. As the saying goes, once you've visited one rural community in BC, you have visited one rural community in BC. Each community in rural BC is unique and has its own unique problems and solutions. We cannot champion each individual problem faced, but we can find common areas that will improve health and wellness for many rural communities. Rural residents are resourceful and resilient, and we have solutions to offer. With a louder voice, we will ensure we are not just listened to, but heard. So with that, I would like to thank you all for your time, and if you have any questions, we are happy to answer them.
So hopefully you can hear that okay. And if so, we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It was still a little difficult to hear, but thankfully we had the information on screen, which I'm sure most people took the opportunity to read. Does anyone have any questions regarding the BC Rural Healthcare Network? On your chance to test out the new microphones. No questions, and I understand, oh, right, Director Oswald?
Thank you. Hi there. Thank you for the presentation. I'm just curious, what is your ask for this group right now? Like are you just presenting the information to us and you'd like directors in the rural areas to reach out to you in the future, or what was the ask, please?
So we're asking for the TNRD to join us as a member. We're looking to unite the voice of rural residents in all communities across the province. And obviously regional districts represent a lot of areas and communities that don't have municipal governments. So we want to be inclusive as possible. We have recently got the Central Kootenay Regional District as a new member, as our first regional district, and we're limited in our outreach just from our staff and our current capacity. So we will continue to be reaching out to additional regional districts and municipalities as we continue to grow and to create a louder voice and to get a voice which is representative of common issues across rural British Columbia. The actual monetary ask is membership is just a simple $50 fee for an annual membership, and just allows us to include the communities within the TNRD as part of the voice that we represent.
Thank you very much. Any other questions for Mr. Adams? Again, thank you very much for the presentation. It's the normal process of the TNRD that when a delegation appears and has an ask, that will be considered at the next meeting or at a future meeting, usually the next one. So the ask is that the TNRD become members of the BC Rural Healthcare Network, and the cost would be $50 per year.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, Madam Chair, just to say that you know, we strongly believe that health has a lot more implications to regional districts now than it ever has, especially in regards to economic development, as well as individual you know, members and communities' well-being. We see the need to work in conjunction with all municipalities and with all regional districts to bring a louder voice forward to the provincial government.
And could I break in here too when everybody's done?
Yes, certainly, go ahead.
Yeah, just to let everybody know, I'm a second-term councillor for the Village of New Denver, as well as being the vice president of the BC RHN, and I'm just completed my 4-year term as a Village of New Denver representative on the board of directors of the regional district of Central Kootenay. And just before this meeting started, I got a call from the vice chair of the RDCK, and he's crafting a submission for this year's UBCM about healthcare facilities. And he wanted me to ask you all if any of you have had a complete closure in the last 2 years of your health facility or your ER, not just partial closures of your ER or health center, but complete. And if so, could you email either me at colin.moss@bcruralhealth.org or Paul Adams, and you have his email. And I'd appreciate that, because I know we have in New Denver, and we've been fighting this for 20 years. So we're all together on this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last chance for questions. Yes, Director Sal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could Mr. Adams, maybe you could give us some examples of past successes or, you know, your results of your advocacy?
Yeah, so we've been growing, and in doing so, we formed an implementation committee. That implementation committee is being led by Dr. Jude Cornelson. She's a lead researcher out of the BC Rural Centre at UBC. And she's been conducting rural research with communities for the past 2 decades and has had the same challenges that a lot of people have faced in not seeing community voice included in policy and procedure. So we're now bringing policy positions forward, supported by research out of UBC and by community lived and living experience as part of the evidence behind that. And we put together position papers and summaries on positions on rural health issues. And we've been working closely with government in providing those to policy makers. We see the recent announcement of Jennifer Rice as being the Parliamentary Secretary for Rural Health as being something that we played a part in bringing awareness to David Eby around the lack of rural focus on healthcare in the province. So we don't take full credit, but we do take some credit for that. We've been working closely with physician assistants and the Canadian Association of Physician Assistants in trying to bring PAs into existence in British Columbia. They're now throughout Canada, and we're one of the last jurisdictions to recognize physician assistants. We've been having that raised throughout the estimates in the legislature. Shirley Bond and Sonia Furstenau both raised the issue of physician assistants, and we now have acknowledgement from the college and from the Minister of Health that the licensing has begun. So there is now being a review conducted by the college, and we're being systematic in these efforts. So we have positions coming forward on transportation and travel. We've been working on trying to increase TAPS and so the Transportation Assistant Program for rural residents in reducing the cost to access care. We have positions on maternity care. We have positions on living in place and on community engagement. We've just received a grant from Spark to do a gap analysis on community engagement in healthcare planning. That grant is going to put a new associate in place within Dr. Cornelson's faculty at UBC, who's going to be dedicated to doing more rural research. So, we're growing as we get more resources and we find more financing. We're going to do more. We're being invited to speak. I'm speaking in Kelowna at the Rural Conference on June 1st. And there I'll be sitting with the Mayor of Merritt, as well as the Okanagan Alliance. We'll also have Jennifer Rice there and others. So our engagements increase, our reach is increasing, and our involvement in rural healthcare expands daily.
Thank you very much. No further questions, and thank you very much, gentlemen, for your presentation. It was great to see you here today virtually.
Thank you. Sorry about the audio issues. I'll try and fix that. Enjoy your day.
All right, thank you. You too.
Okay, thanks very much.
All right, we move on to item 7.1, which is the repeal of bylaws related to septic disposal services. We do have 2 recommendations. Director Ranta, thank you. Second by Director Thorpe. Is there any discussion on recommendation number 1? Seeing none on the question, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Recommendation 2.
So moved.
Director Ranta, thank you. Director Getz, seconds. Any discussion? Director Stamer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for clarity, when it speaks to the agreement with the District of Clearwater and District of Barrier with septic facilities, unfortunately, the District of Barrier does not have that capability at this time with our sewer challenges, but we're looking forward to being able to run that forward in the future. But right now that we are not able to provide that service at this time.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none on the question, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Item 8.1, we have a verbal report from CAO Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair Roden. Good afternoon, everyone. As you may have noticed, there's no specific CEO report on the agenda, but I did want to hold a spot for a few comments today. My formal update will be on May 18th. So firstly, I wanted to ensure the board was aware that we activated our Emergency Operations Center. Last Saturday evening, our EOC was set up and engaged as we were dealing with multiple fires in the TNRD. As of today, fires within the regional district are being managed and are under control. The landscapes are greening up quickly, and the recent rain certainly had a benefit with respect to fires. Not the case, of course, with water. Our EOC continues to remain active as we now shift our attention and support to flooding concerns across the region. We're doing our best to also support the village of Cache Creek through this difficult time, and we'll do everything we can to provide staff and general support for their EOC. Our team has been in Cache Creek and is in constant communication, so we will be there to support you, Mayor Ranta. We are also staying very close to this weekend's weather forecast and the rain that is expected as rivers and streams continue to rise. There's currently uncertainty on the location and severity of potential rainfall later this week and through the weekend, with current forecasts indicating potential significant amounts up to 30 millimeters of rain in some areas and even thunderstorms with more precipitation. So as of noon today, some of you may have already seen this, but we got the latest river and stream report. So there's continued flood warnings in the lower Thompson region, including, of course, Cache Creek, Dead Man River, Chris Creek, Bonaparte River, and the surrounding areas around Cache Creek and Skeecheson. High stream flow advisories, which I'm sure Mayor Getz is well aware. Nicola River and tributaries around Guichon Creek, Spias Creek, Coldwater River, and surrounding areas, including Upper and Lower Nicola. So that was a new piece as of noon today. We have sandbag locations set up where required, and we're working closely with the province and Environment Canada to ensure that we're staying on top of these things. Kevin Skrepnik, Mike Knopf, and Jamie Vieira, and others are, as expected, are taking the lead in our Emergency Operations Center. So if you're needing them for other questions or projects or initiatives, you're going to expect delays as this will be our immediate priority going forward. So shifting gears to something a little bit more positive. Today is an important day. Today is an important day for our team, and both myself and Ms. Campbell I would like to take a moment to recognize and celebrate the retirement of our friend and colleague Agnes Satt, our Deputy Corporate Officer. She's sitting right back here waiting for this. Wow, that even spelled it. Agnes is retiring tomorrow after an amazing 23-year career with the TNRD. Agnes started with the TNRD in June of 2000 and has done an amazing job. Agnes will be missed for her experience, her knowledge, and leadership. Her leadership was immeasurable through our organization, but I know she's only a phone call away. Monday will be.
She told me she was changing her number tomorrow. I didn't know why.
But she gave it to me, so. Monday will be the day one of her retirement. When I asked her what her plans were, her quote was that she's going to start the morning coffee with Kahlua on the deck. So as it should be. So on behalf of myself, the senior management team, and the entire organization, I wish you happy and healthy retirement. Please have fun and enjoy. And I'd like to pass it over to Ms. Campbell for some additional comments.
Thank you, CEO Hildebrand. Poor Agnes, we've been making her cry today already. So I just wanted to take a moment as Agnes's direct supervisor to thank her for all her hard work and dedication over the last 3 years that I've been here. When I took this job, Agnes came with it, and she has been, and I am so grateful for that. So anyone who knows Agnes knows that she is an absolute wealth of information and always happy to help. We tried to convince her to write a book on the TNRD before she left to pass on her knowledge, but she didn't have time for that. She's been an extremely valuable member of my team since the day I started here, and we've come to rely on her so heavily. So I'm not sure what we're going to do without her. But as Scott mentioned, she continues to promise that she is just a phone call away. And as much as she will be missed, I know this is the right time for her to enjoy her retirement, and she has more than earned it. She has left her mark and legacy on the TNRD, and we wish her all the best in her retirement. Congratulations, Agnes. And on that note, I actually also wanted to take a moment to formally congratulate Marnie Jeremiah, who will now be stepping into the role of Deputy Corporate Officer now that Agnes has retired. So Marnie has been with the TNRD for almost 3 years now, and she has consistently demonstrated an incredible ability to quickly learn and take on whatever she's given successfully. And so I'm really confident that she'll do well in her role, and I trust that the board is in good hands with her when I'm unavailable, which will actually be the next board meeting. So that will be Marnie's first opportunity to act in my absence, so please go easy on her. So congratulations again, Marnie.
And if I could just pass it over to CFO Fox for a quick introduction as well.
Good afternoon. I'm just hoping I know how to work this thing as well. So jokingly, but every time I get an email that Agnes is leaving, I just respond, no. So I would like to introduce to you guys a valuable and long-awaited addition to our finance team, Erin McKenzie. Erin brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise in the field of finance with a proven track record for success in financial management and process improvement. Erin's going to play a crucial role as a finance manager in overseeing and managing the day-to-day finance operations. Her passion for finance, coupled with her dedication to continuous improvement, aligns perfectly with the TNRD's commitment to financial transparency, accountability, and efficiency. She brings a fresh perspective, innovative ideas, and a collaborative approach that I believe will support our team's capabilities and drive our financial goals forward. So please join me in welcoming Erin McKenzie as our new finance manager for the TNRD.
Chair Roden, if there was any questions from my CEO report and any of the introductions, I'd be glad to take them.
Any questions? I just want to say on behalf of the board, and I think particularly the previous board, Agnes, how much we appreciated your experience and your calmness during what was a very tumultuous time. And I'm sure that it wasn't just the board, it was also staff who appreciated the continuity and the wealth of knowledge that you brought and the passion and your dedication to the TNRD. So thank you for sticking with us during a very difficult time and giving us all the benefit of your knowledge and wisdom. And if you could just let everyone here know your address so we can join you for Kahlua and coffee. But congratulations and enjoy your well-deserved retirement. Thank you. We move on to a Film Commission update from Film Commissioner Terry Hadwin. Ms. Hadwin.
Hi, everybody. Happy Star Wars Day. I wanted to start my presentation with, the Star Wars script that leads into the introduction. Oh, thank you. It leads into the introduction of my storytelling today, but it wasn't in the budget. So we'll just move on as is. Oh, go this way. There, oh, one too far. There we go. So I gave a brief board orientation to what the Film Commission does earlier on this year. So today I'm going to go into a little bit more finer detail and also give you a little bit of an update on what I've been up to for the last 11 months that I've been in this position. So the Thompson-Nicola Film Commission is one of 8 provincially funded film commissions in the province. And then we are all under the umbrella of the Creative BC Provincial Film Commission. And you'll see from those little spots there that they kind of loosely tie to the various different tourism organizations that there are in BC as well. So why do these various film commissions exist? Money. So as you can see, these stats are from 2020, which is the last time that these figures were published. And you can see that film on its own is somewhere around a 2.3 direct output in British Columbia. The creative sector on its own as a whole, is around about the same economic driver as tourism. And then film just on its very own is even larger than what we have for logging and forestry. And where do we stand? So in 2022, the Thompson-Nicola Film Commission the region had a direct output of an estimated $18 million that came into our area due to filming productions. In 2022, we worked on 82 production inquiries of TNRD locations, and in 2021, it was 49, so a significant increase. And then in 2020, it was 27. So from 2020, we had 27 production inquiries to 82 last year. And in 2023, we are averaging a little over 1 new inquiry production per week. In 2022, we had a total of 25 productions that happened in the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, which included commercials, documentaries, movies of the week, and TV series. These are some lovely rom-coms that we had filmed in our area. So Being There All Along and The Movie Star and the Cowboy haven't quite come out yet, but they do have trailers released. So you can check those out to see what's in store. And Destination Christmas came out just around Christmas time last year. Bulletproof was filmed around the Ashcroft Cache Creek area, as well as some parts in Kamloops, and you can stream that currently on Stars. Cloud Striker is a short film. Jurassic World came out last year, so I still wanted to keep it as a feature there. And The Friendship Game was dominantly filmed in the Kamloops area, and you can currently stream that one on Paramount. The Hammer filmed mostly in the Quilchena, Merritt, Lower Nicola area, came out last year. Outrunners, which was long awaited, filmed mostly, I'd say 98% of it was filmed in the Kamloops area. And that one just came out at the Kamloops Film Festival this year. And then we have The Never Game, which had its pilot episode filmed around the Cache Creek, Wallachine type of area. And that one will be coming out this summer. Bones of Crows is a long-awaited one. It's been screening in various communities, but now you'll actually be able to go and view it in theaters, Cineplex and Landmark, coming this June. That was filmed dominantly in the Knutsford and Kamloops area. If you're interested in seeing any of the movie productions or commercials that we've had in our area, on our website, we have the Film Thompson-Nicola website, and on there you can view past productions. Right now, I'm currently working with libraries to see what we can get as far as DVDs, so that people can find the movies that they want to watch and consume them in that way. We aren't able to keep on top of where the various places that these places are being streamed, because it changes. So this year you might be able to find it on Netflix, but then Paramount buys it next year. And it's just, it would be kind of beyond our means to stay on top of all of the various productions that we've had and where they're being hosted. So we are hoping to work with libraries to get as many as we can on DVDs so that you can watch from the comfort of your home. So it's great that we've had all of these films happen in our area, but how exactly do we support that? How is it that we're making an impact to bring those films here? So when a production has a script or a project ready, they approach the various film commissions with their script, sometimes with their script, sometimes not, but they are looking for specific locations. Because we have the active knowledge of what's happening in our area, what locations we might be able to provide, they approach us and then we give them the information that we have readily available, or we seek it out. So we do that by scouting. We do that by taking photos. We then upload those photos into a photo library so that when similar inquiries come in, that information is readily available. Sometimes productions make their decisions in a moment's notice. Sometimes it takes significantly longer. I like to use the example of the movie Castaway, for example. I think the location scout looked at 87 different islands before selecting his perfect spot. So that's an example of what a film commission could do to support a film production coming to the area, is providing them with the various locations. We actively promote locations. So for example, I went to Victoria recently. I met with people that are looking to find their perfect locations for their projects, and I talked to them about what we have for material here. We also have a directory of services that we offer in our area. So that's very convenient when people are looking for items to rent or for catering services, that type of thing. So they can go to our directory and find the ones that are film friendly or have film experience, similar to our crew database. So people that have worked in film, want to work in film, they live on our crew database. We export that list and we give it to production so that people that live here locally are being hired for those productions. We liaise with the community to maintain film friendliness. So if a production approaches a resident and they've never worked with film before, how do they know what to be prepared for? Those types of things. So we can be a resource for our residents. So when they have questions, we're able to let them know things that they should be aware of. We create a lot of local awareness and pride. I think a lot of people are really excited to see their hometown or someplace familiar on the big screen. And I think that that's just such a wonderful thing. We support infrastructure and amenity growth, and that's part of the reason why we're hoping to get that motion picture studio built here with the larger studio spaces. Again, we do have a studio here already in Kamloops, the Mastermind Studio. And it's great, but we're just looking for some products that have a little bit more room for these big productions. And then, of course, we happily welcome the productions to the TNRD. So in summary, my purpose is to provide as much resources as I can to film industry reps to help them select the TNRD for their next production. So it's very similar to tourism. We share our knowledge to help people make an informed decision to come to this area and to stimulate the local economy. We share our resources and we train crew. We welcome the productions to our area, just as a tourism entity would. We're a destination marketing organization in that way, because we know what we have for product to offer to people that are working in the film industry, and we help support them in any way that we can to bring the productions here and make sure that they have a great experience, that they want to come back. So sometimes I have board members ask how they can support the Film Commission, and I have a few answers for them. Sometimes we do need political advocacy. There's been scenarios in the past where, for example, the tax credit has been threatened. So we've asked our board to rally for us. Thankfully, we're not in a place like that, but that would be a circumstance where I would come to the board and ask for your political advocacy, that type of thing. And not to sound too cliche, but a way that you can support the Film Commission is by following us on social media. So we have a very active Facebook and Instagram page, and just by, if you're on social media, you should be following us and seeing what it is that we're doing. We have really cool, fun things that we're sharing all of the time. So for example, you'll see on the right there, we have what's called a reel to reel comparison. So we take a photo of what is happening real live, and then we do a comparison to a screenshot from a movie production that we've had in the area. So that's just one of the many happy things that you will get as an experience from being one of our fans on social media. And thank you to the ones that already do actively support us there. It's great. And here we are with our plans for the year. So we have recently gotten some funding to hire a Canada summer student, which I will be happily hoping them to get event planned, just like the Okanagan did last year. They had a great weekend of training individuals that wanted to be involved in the film industry. And I'm hoping to have that happen here in our area. In the past, we had what was called the film locations map, which was very interactive and fun. And it was a really great way of seeing what types of productions had happened in the TNRD. You could hone in on them and then view the posters, see when they were released, that type of thing. And then what we're hoping to do is also add those library links so that people can find them on DVD if they're available in that way. And as always, I am chasing that that hope that we can get that motion picture studio built in our area to bring in those big productions and have them stay here. Happy Star Wars Day.
Thank you very much. There's no escaping it. It's everywhere. Thank you very much for that. And I love the reel-to-reel feature. I'm one of those people that never watched, what is it, The Day After Tomorrow? Once they escaped from Yellowstone, really Cache Creek, I had no idea how the movie ended because I turned it off at that point because they stopped filming in our area at that point in the movie. In my head, I did actually try and figure out from what I knew of the plot where it was going to go. And when I finally did end up watching it, I hit every single beat. I knew exactly who was going to survive and who wouldn't and why. But the reel-to-reel is fascinating when you watch the scenes with Woody Harrelson on Savannah Mountain. And it's panning from sort of north to south and north. Yeah, Savannah Mountain, Savannah Mountain, Savannah Mountain. Oh, no, that's CGI. It's seamless. It's absolutely seamless. It goes from the actual landscape to complete fabrication in one seamless shot. So if you know the area, it's absolutely fantastic to watch. So watch until they escape in the airplane and then you can turn it off because you'll know exactly how it's going to end. So thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the film commissioner? Director Getz? Director Stamer was first, Director Getz, and then Director Houghton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, that movie actually scares the heck out of me. I've watched it many times. And we're not entirely sure what the equilibrium balance of the North Atlantic temperature is, but it's kind of spooky. Thanks very much, Ms. Hadwin, for your presentation. I have a question about the screenwriters impending strike and what the effects you believe that's going to be. It seems like there's a systemic change in the way, the writers used to be full-time, now they're part-time, now they're afraid of AI being involved with rewriting the scripts and that sort of thing. So what do you see short-term, long-term, not only for our area, but the film industry as a whole?
So the Writers Guild strike has been impending for quite some time, and there's been discussions about it happening for quite a while, and production has slowed down in our area as well as the province. So we're actually receiving a lot of inquiries from people that live in the Lower Mainland to know what's happening in our area. Currently, our office hasn't slowed down at all. We've definitely still been having a lot of inquiries of people wanting to move and plan ahead. I feel that because the strike lasted so long years prior, that I'm hoping that lessons have been learned and that the strike will not last as long as it had in the past. So did I answer all of those questions? Okay.
Thank you very much, Director Getz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Stamer stole my question. But point of order, the Woody Harrelson movie was 2012 and the Jake Gyllenhaal was Day After Tomorrow. So my nerdness comes through for you. So thank you.
See, that's how much attention I was paying to the movie. Thank you very much. Yes, they are good popcorn viewing on a Sunday afternoon. Director Houghton.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Terry, I was in contact, or the fellow that you sent my way, I think his name's Riley, got a hold of me, and I'm going to meet with him next week, talk about doing the filming at my home place in August. And I'm not sure what the wants and needs are, but sounds like he wants the farm for a day. So I'll do what I can to cooperate and keep you in the loop.
Director Sal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Terry, you and I had interaction with the regards to the Wellsbury Park access for the Arc'teryx commercial. I was wondering if you find that commission still have issues with contacts with provincial ministries for permits, and if so, do you think the board can support you in any way?
So we haven't had any provincial inquiries to film on any Crown or provincial land at this point. However, I have been scouting recently with some individuals that may be looking to establish locations in their current script needs that are on Crown lands. If we face any issues that we're not able to mitigate, then we may be looking to the board to support us in that fashion. Currently, I think that we're doing okay. The circumstance that Director Sao is speaking towards was a circumstance where we were hoping to do some filming at Wells Gray. It was right before Christmas time, and it's incredibly challenging to try to get a hold of people in BC parks when it's not just before Christmas time. So yeah, that's just one of the things that we work towards. The various film commissions, we're always trying to make and build those relationships with BC parks. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, CEO Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair Roden. I just wanted to acknowledge Terry's hard work. I know she's been doing a great job. We've had a significant bump in some of the inquiries around this area. I know the Film Commission's a top priority, and there's been interest in that, which is exciting. And there's also some big things that I know she's working on that she's sworn to secrecy on. So I know that there's some things she's working on that I'm hoping will kind of blow the top off of some of the work she's doing. So I just wanted to thank her on all of her hard work.
Thank you very much. Are there any more questions for Film Commissioner Hadwin? No. Seeing none, thank you again for your presentation. We move on to item 8.1.3, solid waste management operations contracts. We have two recommendations here.
Move one.
Director Stamer, Director Aranta seconds. Any discussion on recommendation number one? All right, I have Director Stamer, Director Houghton.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. First up, I'd like to thank Mr. Vieira and his staff for the hard work in their deliberations with us, RPF. Obviously, the numbers are higher than we originally budgeted for, but as the report states, it's pretty self-evident that we knew the prices were going to be going up, and I want to thank staff for reducing the overall 5-year original proposal almost $862,000 over that 5-year plan. We all know that this year's hit is not going to be that significant at only 4%, but next year and over the course of the 5 years, it is going to be a 13% hit. And I'm hoping that staff and ourselves are able to find ways to reduce some of those overall costs. I know from the District of Barrie's perspective, I know it's outside of the TNRD's budget, but I mean, we're seriously looking at trying to get rid of the organic portion of that because it still accounts for almost half of our tipping fees. And I'm hoping that we can hope through the TNRD do something as well to try to lower that hauling cost back and forth. But I am certainly going to be recommending this because I think the staff has done an excellent job in trying to do what they can with the proposal that they got. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Houghton.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Jamie, looks like we've got a new player in the game in one of the contracts. Just wondering on a staff perspective, I know the operator of the Dutsford transfer station, of course, has warned me the other day that it sounds like we're changing the guard here. Where does that leave the staff that's presently working at all of our facilities as far as a job perspective down the road with the new employers?
Thanks for the question through the chair. To clarify up front, there's no guarantee built into the contract for existing staff. However, as part of the proposals from both of the recommended proponents, they included their intent to right up front prioritize the interviewing and considering of the existing staff. And that'll be based on discussions with TNRD as well with our input of of those staff. And generally speaking, we have a very, very effective staff that are out there, and they're mostly local community staff. The other thing I'll add is that one of the factors in the evaluation of the proposal was their staff benefits and wage package that was considered. So I think in general, the staff will be pleased with the transition with this new contractor.
Thank you. Just a further one. Thank you for the format that you use for evaluating. I went through it, spent a whole day on it from top to bottom, and I think your criteria was great and how you evaluated them and how you came up with the ones that you chose. And I asked you today earlier, if you're happy with both of them. You said yes, very happy. So a lot of hard work. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Director Grenier.
Thank you, Chair. My favorite topic seems to be surpluses, and we have a $9 million surplus. And I think the math says that we're going to burn through 8.2 million of that 9 million surplus over the next 5 years. Are we just trying to keep on track on where we are with surpluses?
Sure. So through the chair, just point of clarity, the 9 million is an operating reserve. So it's not a surplus that's been carried forward. It's held in an operating reserve. Currently in the current approved 5-year plan, there's a plan to draw down that operating surplus. What we haven't done yet, but what you'll see in the coming budget in 2024 will be to evaluate how we would draw down that operating reserve in relation to these anticipated increased costs. That hasn't really been calculated exactly yet. So I guess to directly address that, we don't know. We haven't yet decided how we're going to recommend drawing down on the operating reserve versus other revenues, taxation, fee increases, et cetera.
Supplementary, just to be clear, if we don't do anything in those years, at the end of 5 years, applying that surplus, we'd be down to $1 million unless we do some of these other things in the other years.
Yes, that's correct. If we left the budget as is and applied the additional costs to be use the operating reserve, correct, we would draw down that 8 million.
Thank you. Are there any more comments on recommendation number 1? No, seeing none on the question, then all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Thank you. That is carried. We do have a second recommendation. Director Ranta, Director Sarai seconds. Thank you. Any discussion on recommendation number 2? No. Seeing none, then on the question, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? And that is carried. Thank you. We move along to 8.1.4, appointment of committee members to the TNRD Boundary and Governance Review Committee. We have 12 available spots on this committee and 14 people have put their name forward. So before we go to having a vote, if anyone feels that they would like to reconsider at this point who had put their name forward, anyone feels that on reflection, it might be too much of a time commitment. If you felt like stepping aside at this point, then if we could get down to 12, we do not need to have a vote. If it remains at 14, we will have a vote. You will be very glad to hear that no one who's on that list gets a chance to make a speech to sell themselves. It's just a straight vote. So I heard that that's good from someone. So does anyone whose name is on the list want to withdraw? Thank you. That's the word I was looking for, Director Ray. No?
I'll withdraw.
Director Sarai. All right, thank you. So we're down to 13 people vying for 12 spots. Anyone else who's on the list? There is no compulsion to do this. We are prepared to have a vote. I just thought I'd ask because sometimes you sign up for these things and then you look at your calendar and realize it is too much of a commitment. Director Laird.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to make a recommendation that we leave the 13 members as they are, because it's always nice to have the volunteers and the commitment coming from our members, board members. And I don't think it'd be a problem to have one extra, and it would eliminate having a vote for one person not to be on the board. Thank
That
you.
would be a very sad vote to lose in many ways. I'm going to say it. Ms. Campbell, are we able to have 13 people on a 12-person committee?
We can just amend the terms of reference. I think that's fine. The board, I mean, this is a committee of the board, so if the board's okay with that, then we can proceed with 13.
Dr. Sarai, do you have any, do you want to?
I just want to get clarification. It said the municipal appointees were 3,
At least a minimum.
a minimum, so the
Yeah.
4, there could be 4.
Yes, there could
Also-
absolutely be, yeah.
So
I mean, we could, if the board wishes to keep it at 14, we can keep it at 14. I think we're just trying to, the 12 was the original notice of motion that was presented by Director O'Reilly. So when the committee was established, it was established as a committee of 12. But certainly if the board wishes to have it as a committee of 14, we can work with that.
then I'd reconsider to be, thank you. Thanks for the clarification.
Okay. So then, Ms. Campbell, I'm going to ask you, how do we proceed? Do we simply have a recommendation recommending that the 14 people whose names are on the list be appointed to that committee?
Yes, we can do that, but can I just speak to the
Yes,
committee again for a
please do,
moment?
please do.
I just wanted to just reiterate the purpose of the committee. So it's really specific and limited. So I don't want to disappoint some members in terms of managing expectations. So the committee is not going to be getting into the details or examining, you know, what the boundaries might look like or what parts of the region might be separated out. The ministry has been very, very clear that that's not the role of elected officials or this committee, that will be determined by the results of the study. So we go in with an open mind and an independent local government consultant will carry out the study in consultation with members of the public and the community. So that's really what will inform the study. So but the purpose of the committee is to identify the scope. So we really need to know what this board wants the consultant to look at. So are we looking at just internal boundaries of the TNRD? Or are we just going to look at, or are we also going to look at external boundaries? Do we want to look at voting entitlement? So it's just those broad subjects that this committee will provide input on to basically inform the scope of the study and to inform the terms of reference. Because I will say that the ministry does at this point have concerns. They're not feeling that it's been clearly identified what this study would look at. And so really that's the role of the committee.
Thank you very much. All right. Oh, Director O'Reilly, yes, the originator of this.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question through to Deputy Campbell. So it's my assumption that if the terms of reference are set or changed or however it's going to go forward, that will then be a recommendation that will come back up to the board as a whole? Or is it once that committee sets the TORs, then that's the TORs going forward? Thank you.
Through the chair to Director O'Reilly. So this committee will come up with a draft terms of reference for the study, which will go to the board for approval. And also just so the committee and the board is aware that the Ministry of Municipal Affairs will also be involved in the development of this terms of reference and provide input on it as well. And I'm the liaison with the ministry right now.
Thank you.
Director Middleton?
Just want to test the new mic. The question on this, where we're going from 12 to 14 and whatnot, and I'm not sure, but does this have any financial implication for the cost of this committee in that our committee members paid for their attendance for committee work, and do we pay expenses and that type of stuff? So are we looking at a cost difference between having 12 versus 14 members?
Through the chair, I think there would be a minor cost, but yes, obviously, if we have in-person meetings, then expenses would be claimed. We would try and schedule committee meetings around the time, if we can, given all the other meetings, that there's already an existing committee meeting or a board meeting. And so when members are attending multiple meetings on one day, they're not getting paid for each additional meeting because you're already there. So we're going to try and make that work. And also for logistics sakes, because I know that the board is, many of you are on a lot of committees. So to try and avoid all the travel back and forth, and certainly Zoom is an option as well for electronic participation. We also don't anticipate this committee will meet very often. I think the meetings will be fairly lengthy. But I don't think it'll be very often because it is such a specific and limited mandate that this committee has. We expect it'll be maybe 2 times before the study starts getting underway, and then 1 or 2 more times after we have the results of the study.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? So if I could have a recommendation, please, that the 14 people on the list be appointed to the Boundary and Governance Review Committee.
So moved.
Director Grenier, Vice Chair Smith seconds. Thank you. Any further discussion? On the question then, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. We have a report for your edification from the Utility Systems Committee. And then we have several items from those busy little beavers on the Policy and Governance Committee. Those little monkeys get up to when there's no one else here. So we're going to kick off with recommendation. Could I have someone move recommendation 1, please? Vice Chair Smith, thank you. Director Laird seconds. This is the policy number 5.1.5 Canada Community Building Fund, formerly known as the gas tax funding. Is there any discussion on this point? No. No questions or comments? Seeing none then on the question, all those in favor? Is anyone opposed? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Recommendation number 2. Director Thorpe moved. I'm sorry, who second?
Second.
Vice Chair Smith, thank you. Any discussion on the search and rescue policy? Director O'Reilly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I certainly think it's good that we're updating this where I think we needed to. It's as referenced in the report, it started in 2007 and hasn't been updated for quite some time. Where my question is going, and I don't know who's best to answer it through staff, but either it also could be Chair Bass of the committee, but also Chair Bass is also Chair of the Finance Committee. So it's kind of a tricky question I have, but with our policy, has our policy kept up with our population increase in the TNRD? And has that been looked at, the funding formula, as well as it kept up with the amount of actual outdoor usage that has greatly shifted? I think the pandemic really accelerated the amount of people that do outdoor activities, requiring more search and rescue. And I'm just wondering how we've kept up with the changes that we've had. And lastly, not to forget about the amount of tourism that has increased in our areas from basically every corner of the Thompson Regional District. And are we keeping up with what we should be keeping up with for search and rescue? Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I'm going to pass that on to General Manager of Operations, Jamie Vieira.
All right, short answer, no. We have not, that was not considered as part of the policy. It is a fair statement that can be considered, but in terms of the amount of funding has been steady. This policy update was more housekeeping around the process of awarding those grant and aids, but the funding amount or the taxation that funds these grant and aids has not been increased or changed. But it is a fair comment that you make on maybe considering that.
Thank you. So supplemental. So is that something that you would need guidance from the board from a motion, or Chair Bass take that under advisement of something for one of those 2 committees to consider for future meetings? I'm just wondering where that would stand.
We can take that under advisement, Director O'Reilly. We can take that under advisement as a task to be followed up on.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Director Stamer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And also just for a little bit of clarification, some of the search and rescue operations have evolved. Case in point, the one that's stationed in Barrier used to do highway rescue. They no longer do that. our volunteer fire department does that. So I think it's a bigger question when we bring it to finances also. How much skin does the provincial government have in the game? Because as you're aware of at Silga last week, there was another resolution that was passed unanimously about trying to get the government to increase our total rescue package, not only just the highway rescue, but also search and rescue. So I think it's high time that the provincial government steps up to the table and starts paying their fair share in these services. So I think we're all well aware of, not only our responsibilities, but theirs as well.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions or comments on the second recommendation from the Policy and Governance Committee? Soon to be increased in scope if you've read down the rest of the page. A little test here. All right. No further questions or comments. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Number 3, recommendation number 3.
So moved.
Director Stamer, sorry, I didn't hear who seconded it. Director Bass, thank you very much. Any discussion of recommendation number 3? Seeing and hearing none on the question, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Recommendation number 4. Vice Chair Smith, Director Thorpe seconds. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no hands on the question, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. And number 5, recommendation number 5.
So moved.
Vice Chair Smith, seconded by Director Morris. Thank you. The Policy and Governance Committee include reconciliation in its mandate. Any comments or questions on this? Director Bass.
I just want to make it clear on this, that we're just viewing this as a first step in the ultimate journey we're going to have to take. So we're going to look at minor things to begin with, nothing earth-shattering or dramatically changing the situation, but just to get it on the agenda of the board so that we now have a reason to continue moving forward.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions on this item? On the question then, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. We have the draft minutes of the recent Finance Committee meeting, likewise the Regional Solid Waste Management Committee meeting, and the Committee of the Whole meeting, lucky number 3. Any comments or questions on any of these draft minutes? Director Stamer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to briefly touch on the Solid Waste Management Committee, and I'm wondering if Mr. Vieira may want to speak a little bit on the amendment to our solid waste management plan. I'm not sure if everybody's up to speed on that. Is this the time to talk to the committee report, or what do you want to do, Mr. Vieira?
Just if I may interrupt for a sec, there is a recommendation that came out of the solid waste committee that we need to deal with, and I think it's good timing that Director Stamers brought that up.
I'll move that recommendation.
Thank you very much. We rewind to 9.4, that the Board of Directors adopt the draft Regional Solid Waste Management Plan Amendment Policy. Director Stamer.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I'd like Mr. Vieira to have the opportunity to speak to this, if he may.
Yes, thank you for that through the chair. So the where should I start? I'll start with our solid waste management plan. So our approved solid waste management plan that was approved in 2018 did not have included a detailed process of how an amendment would take place. So what this policy is basically having the board adopt a procedure for if there was a request for our plan to be formally amended, then we would go through this policy. Now, the reason that's being brought forward, because also at the last committee meeting, there was a delegation that came forward that introduced a proposed project that they are going to be, we're anticipating them bringing forward through this new policy, a formal request for the TNRD board to consider amending that plan. So you could see the whole presentation on the Solid Waste Management Committee YouTube channel. So a plug for our YouTube channel if you want to see the details. I guess the elevator pitch that we heard was a proposed landfill in the Cache Creek area. That was an initiative by the Bonaparte Band. The landfill would be located though on a crown lease portion of land, which triggers provincial approval, which also triggers then an amendment to the solid waste plan. So the regional districts actually hold a lot of sort of authority when it comes to approving solid waste facilities, because the province will not approve a new facility, new landfill, without that facility being included in a regional district solid waste management plan. So we currently have a list of all the operating permitted landfills that are in our district in our plan. Opening a new one by any proponent would require an amendment to the plan. And that's quite a detailed process, as you'll see in this recommended procedure, but we wanted to have this adopted by the board, so then we can hand this this policy over to the proponent and they can start working through that process.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And to add to what Mr. Vieira mentioned, there's some significant benefits with the approval of this amendment to the plan, in as much as that this extension of the existing landfill will not only allow the Bonaparte First Nations Indian band to be able to expand some of the opportunities for their band members, including approximately their proposal of 50 new jobs in the Cache Creek area, but also to be able to allow them to produce peat moss that they can sell down to the lower mainland, which they're pretty excited about, so that the hauling will be full both ways, transporting both ways, but also could also help us out when we talked just briefly before about some of the organics in our waste stream, that they're quite possibly could take some of those organics off our hands. So that could be a win-win for us as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments on the recommendation? Then all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. All right, and now we move on to item 10.1.1, which is a revisiting of the request from Siwash Lake Wilderness Resort. As we asked them for, they have provided some more information to go with their request. And we do have a recommendation, if the board will just give me a moment. I have taken the liberty of bearing in mind that we have to be very careful of supporting one business over another, or appearing to take one business's side as opposed to another. Notwithstanding that the proponent said that the board, we did to say that the board should remain neutral in a situation that involves competing businesses. So I have drafted a possible motion, which is, and I have written it down in case that we do go with this so that you don't have to write it, that the TNRD Board of Directors send a letter to Grant Feldinger with a copy to the Honorable Josie Osborne and the Honorable Lana Popham, requesting a proper and meaningful consultation process / engagement with nearby stakeholders, residents, and communities affected by the proposed Golden Sky Minerals Notice of Work on the Rayfield property near Siwash Lake. If anyone would like me to repeat it, I can, but I think that it provides what they seem to be asking for, which is that they have meaningful consultation with the province. And I think that this provides our support for that process, which is certainly very important, not only for the proponents, but for anyone who lives, works and plays in that region. I'm sure that they would all want to be part of a very meaningful consultation and engagement process with the province, which seems to be lacking so far. So move for me. Director Rain, thank you very much. Do I have a seconder for that? Director Grenier, thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Director Sarai? Oh, Director Smith.
Yeah, I have. Go ahead. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that that's exactly the conversation that I had with her. I don't think it's, she's not looking for us to support one or the other. She feels that she hasn't been treated properly in the process and that she hasn't been kept in the loop. And as you can see by her report, she's done a hell of a lot of legwork on her own with everybody and anybody who will listen. So you can understand her passion. So I think it's pretty harmless for us to go with your motion.
And sorry, Director Sarai?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just Wondering, is Golden Sky Minerals included in that letter? Is that something that we can add them as a CC so they know that, or they're aware that there's a request for a consultation? They should be at the table as well.
Ms. Campbell, would they normally be CC'd on this letter, or should we specifically include them as someone who should receive a copy?
I missed who we were talking about ceasing. Sorry,
Grace
Director Sir.
Golden Sky Minerals.
Would you recommend it?
Well, so I think we'd have to talk to the requester of this letter of support to see if they would feel comfortable with that. I don't know if the intent was for them to have the mining company copied on the letter as well. So we might want to check with them to make sure that that's okay. That would be my recommendation.
Thank you. Director O'Reilly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The wording that you provided, I support. I think it's a good idea. I'm just point of clarification through to staff. The way that it's presented to us, that's a recommendation from administration in front of us, and that was your recommendation to the board. I'm just trying to wrap my head around, because this is kind of a unique situation that we're in.
Through the chair to Director O'Reilly. So we get letters of support. They're filled out we get requests for letters of support from the board through an application. And so they're never drafted as an actual motion. So staff have to take what the requesters are asking for and draft it in the terms of a motion. So I feel that what Chair Roden has put forward is still in the spirit of what this requester has asked for.
So essentially what you did was pull out what the letter said, what you thought it does.
Exactly.
Not a recommendation from administration.
No,
that's
it's
what it
not
should be.
our,
Okay,
it's
thank
not
you
our
for the
recommendation. Yeah.
clarification.
Thank you for the clarification, Director Laird.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a very similar experience in the Nicola Valley where there was a proposed gravel pit and there was not proper consultation with the community. And we basically wrote a very similar letter as what you proposed. And all we wanted to make sure was that everybody was informed as to what the proposal was and how it was going to work. And that's exactly what happened. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Ms. Campbell, I can send you via email that recommendation. Okay. On the question then, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. We move on to new business. Are there any items of new business today? We have Director Houghton and Director Stamer. Director Houghton, go ahead.
The other day I had a whirlwind tour through the Royal Inland Hospital operating room, the new rooms. And I want to say that they're very nice. They treated us with royalty. And when they were wheeling me around, I saw the 2 new operating rooms that we voted on here in the old part being built. Thank you to the staff for the nice card. And I wish Director Hall the best. He went through the same whirlwind system the other day too. So all the best, Kelly.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Director Stamer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to put a little bit of a great shout out to Mr. Hildebrand and the staff so far. I mean, I think on our minds, especially on mine, is the floods and fire situation that we're going to be having in the oncoming season. And I would encourage that we continue those same lines of communication that staff has been doing so far with us, and to be able to encourage our residents to be able to use the Voyant Alert or whatever system that we can use, because I mean, we're not entirely sure what's going to happen, but I want to thank the support that we've had from the TNRD to this point. So thank you.
Thank you. And I have Director Middleton.
Thank you. This is just a little bit of a shout out and recognition. I just want to make to Logan Stankoven. Has been awarded the WHL Humanitarian of the Year Award. First WHL player to be awarded this in the history of the Blazers. And I just want to give a shout out in Logan's thanks. In his article, he did reference my son Stu Middleton as the founder of Hockey Gives Blood, which is what had precipitated his award. So I want to give a shout out, and I really want to recognize my son as well too for the thousands of hours that he has put into Hockey Gives Blood over the past 5 years. This was formed or whatnot after the Humboldt bus crash. It has a lot of personal connotation to our family. And I just want to say, great job.
Mr. Stamer.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, that's really good news for Logan and the entire organization, and congratulations to your son as well for his dedication. I just want to also mention that I think we all had a really good Silga convention. We didn't have an opportunity to speak about that. And yes, we're champions for Reach to the Top one more time, Chair Roden, with some very tough questions, and I'm not sure how we're going to do it again, but that was a lot of fun. And a shout out to Mayor Blackwell. He just mentioned to me that he's feeling a little bit left out because he's saying that he's not on any committees of the TNRD. So we'll have to, we're glad that you're actually going to join us with the new one. So thanks very much for that.
I think that's a picture says 1,000 words, Director Blackwell. Is there any other new business? We move on to question period. Are there any questions from the non-members of the public in the gallery? Do we have anything online that we've received? With no questions from the period and nothing else on the agenda, we sit adjourned. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair.